Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another episode of the Catskill Academy, the series that aims to teach you everything you need to know about EVE Echoes. Today's Catskill Academy again comes from inside the public test server for the October-November update, because we're going to be looking this time at Guidance Disruptors, which are a really cool new EWAR module that is being added in this update. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at what these are, how they operate, and what kind of ships you might want to fit these onto. So if you do enjoy this video, let me know by hitting like on it, subscribe to the channel for all things EVE Echoes, make sure to ding that notification bell so that you never miss an upload, and of course let me know in the comment section down below what topics you want me to cover in future videos. Finally, if you want to go the extra mile to help support this channel, you can do so by joining us on Patreon. Details are on screen now. That all said and done then, let's talk about Guidance Disruptors. Guidance Disruptors are a special new type of mid-slot sub-weapon being added in the October-November update. You'll find these under Electronic Warfare, so let's scroll to the bottom by closing down everything that's irrelevant until eventually we get to them. Here we are, Mark III Guidance Disruptor. Let's have a look at this one to start with. Now, Guidance Disruptors are special mid-slot modules that effectively scramble and mess with opponents that are using missiles, and they do so, as you can see at the bottom here, by affecting the missile's explosion velocity, its explosion radius, and its flight time. Now, obviously, the reduction to explosion velocity, the increase to explosion radius, makes this much harder to hit smaller, faster-moving ships, and the flight time bonus just negatively affects the range of whatever missile is being launched. 18% range reduction here on a Mark III Guidance Disruptor. Let's have a look at the stats though and see how this actually operates. Now, this is a Meta Level 1 variant here. Of course, Meta Level is just how powerful it is compared to other modules of its type. The power grid requirement is minuscule for these things, 1 megawatt, so as long as you've got a mid-slot available, you can probably cram this onto whatever ship you want to. And it has an activation cost of 42.5 gigajoules and an activation time of 10 seconds. That means every 10 seconds you're going to take 42.5 gigajoules out of your capacitor in order to utilize this. Now, they do have an optimal range and an accuracy fall-off. In this case, the Mark III has an optimal range of 32.8 kilometers. That's the range at which this thing is 100% effective, and an accuracy fall-off of 16.4 is the distance beyond optimal, where that reduces from 100% to 50%, and then a second accuracy fall-off takes it from 50% down to 0. So in this case, you're looking at 32.8, up anything from 0 to 32.8 kilometers, you are 100% effective. Then as you go from 32.8 up to, what is that, 49.2, I think? Very quick maths there. 49.2 kilometers away, you'll suddenly be at 50% effectiveness. That means if you hit a target at the 32.8 kilometers, they are having their explosion velocity bonus reduced by 12% and increased by 12% on the explosion radius, and the flight time is going to be reduced by 18%. At that 49 kilometers, that's going to be a 6% velocity down, a 6% radius up, and a 9% reduction to the flight time. It is vital to understand that the further you are away from this, the less effect it has. It's 100% effective within the optimal range, but as you start going into the accuracy fall-off, the Guidance Disruptor loses some of its effectiveness. So what happens then as you upgrade from Mark III up to Mark V, Mark VII, Mark IX, all the way into Officer and Storyline gear? Well, at Mark V, you'll see that we have increased the activation cost. The activation time remains at 10 seconds, but the cost has gone up by 0.5 gigajoules. It then also has a longer optimal range, a higher accuracy fall-off, and both the explosion velocity and explosion radius have gone from 12 to 13, and the flight time adjustment has gone from 18 to 19. Now, this does change once we hit Mark VII. Again, we increase the activation cost and the optimal range and accuracy fall-off, but you'll notice here that the explosion velocity and explosion radius bonuses both stay at 13. Only the flight time goes from 19 to 20. Once we then hit the Mark IX, again, the explosion velocity now goes up as well. You'll see there, that's gone up to 14%, the flight time goes up to 21%. That does again come with an increased activation cost, but longer optimal range and accuracy fall-off. So basically, as you go up the meta levels here, you increase every time you increase the activation cost, the optimal range and the accuracy fall-off. You'll also notice that the flight time adjustment goes down each time as well, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23, but the explosion velocity velocity and explosion radius only changes every 2. So it changes, it's 12% at Mark 3, the Mark 5 becomes 13%, it's then still 13% on the Mark 7, the Mark 9 becomes 14%, the storyline remains at 14%, and the officer level version, the Virus, becomes 15% with a 23% reduction to flight time. That is, of course, really going to mess with someone's day if they're using missiles. Having the range of their missiles dropped by 23% is huge. It means 20-kilometer range missiles are suddenly only shooting at around 16 kilometers. Big, big difference, and can really ruin someone's day. As with all things in EVE Echoes, there's a skill for that. So let's head into electronics, electronic systems, and scroll down until we reach signal jamming, a new skill being added in this update as well. Now, you'll see here that with signal jamming trained up to level 5, you get an increase to target painter optimal range, sensor damper optimal range, tracking disruptor optimal range, and guiding disruption optimal range as well. 25% increase on that optimal range is really, really useful. Just means you can actually fully affect a target from further away. But things start getting interesting once we hit the advanced signal jamming. At advanced signal jamming 5, suddenly you've got an additional 25% strength. That means that those percentages that we've seen, like the explosion velocity and explosion radius, if that was, say, 15%, you're now getting an additional whatever 25% of 15 is. And if, for example, your flight time adjustment was a 20% down, it's now going to be a 25% down with advanced signal jamming at 5. That is a humongous drop. It means a Mark 7 guidance disruptor can actually drop an opponent's missile range by 25%, quarter their range. That's huge and makes a big difference, especially once you start hitting fleet PvP. Anyway, so those are the 3 skills that you want to train there. As we go into expert signal jamming, you'll see that this then changes things again for accuracy fall-off. So basic 1 to 5 is the optimal range of your guidance disruption. Once you go into advanced signal jamming, that increases the strength of your guidance disruptor. And then once we're into expert signal jamming, it's the accuracy fall-off that is now being increased. So well worth training into all of those, though in fairness for me, I think the advanced signal jamming level is the most exciting by increasing the strength and the effectiveness. But again, certainly if you're looking at the cruiser strength versions of these, and you want to be able to hit someone at range with them, going all the way up to expert is definitely worth it for that additional accuracy fall-off. Guidance disruptors can be fit to any ship as long as it's got at least 1 mid-slot available and 1 megawatt of power grid. Now, of course, 1 megawatt of power grid isn't exactly something that you're going to be really short of in most cases, so as long as you've got a mid-slot, you can probably cram a guidance disruptor onto a ship if that's what you want to do, and considering how prevalent missiles are, that's not necessarily a bad idea on a lot of ships. That said though, the Caldari state ship tree does have a couple of ships that specialise in guidance disruptors, notably here in the frigate line, the Griffin. Now this is unusual because in EVE Online, both the tracking disruptors and guidance disruptors, coming under the heading of weapon disruptors, were kind of the specialty of the Amar Empire, and the Caldari instead used a thing called electronic countermeasures. Now I'm not going to go into that in this video because we don't know what's going to happen with electronic countermeasures now for EVE Echoes, whether it's even going to be a thing. We're here to talk about guidance disruption, so let's have a look at the Griffin. Now the Griffin is of course the frigate that I'm docked in at the beginning of this video, and it's the one that I'm using for the thumbnail, and I will do a deep dive for this as part of the Frigate Pilot's Manifesto eventually, just need to cover a few other bits and pieces first. Now looking at the trait description here for the Griffin, you can see that signal jamming bonus per level, 5% increase to guidance disruption strength. If, like me, you've got signal jamming trained all the way up to level 5, this is kind of like having advanced signal jamming 5, because you're getting all the skills for signal jamming 5, plus you're getting that +5 guidance disruption strength per level that advanced signal jamming would give you. This is really, really useful, especially if you're going up against anyone who's using missiles, because you are going to be massively affecting their range, whilst also dropping their explosion velocity and increasing the explosion radius. If they're using missiles, you're here in a fast-moving, small frigate, and you're making it very hard to hit frigate-sized targets, which I don't need to tell you exactly how that's going to be a benefit to you if you're going hunting missiles in this thing. Very, very cool little ship there, and I can't wait to give that a proper try out on live. Looking up at cruiser level though, we have the Blackbird. A lot of you guys have asked about the Blackbird in other videos, and I've said, as with the Arbitrator and others, that since we don't have those modules to talk about, it's pointless covering the Blackbird. Now that we're getting those modules, it's suddenly worth talking about, and if we have a look here, you'll see that under Advanced Signal Jamming, you get a bonus here of an additional +5 Guidance Disruption Strength and Guidance Disruption Optimal Range. That means obviously you should have taken Signal Jamming through to 5 and then Advanced Signal Jamming to 5. That's an additional 25% Guidance Disruption Strength and an additional 25% Guidance Disruption Optimal Range. That means you can probably now start hitting your opponents with your Guidance Disruptors from much further than their missiles are going to be able to hit you now that you've got them disrupted. That's a really useful thing to understand. You can now outrange your opponent's missiles simply because your Guidance Disruptors are far enough to stop theirs actually getting the range they should. Really interesting mechanic there. And of course, it doesn't stop with the Blackbird. You do get the Blackbird Covert Ops once you're up at tech level 7. This again has a baked-in 7.5% increase to Guidance Disruption Strength per level of Advanced Micro Warp Drive Operation. So perhaps you haven't really been training all that much into things like signal jamming. Here, if you've been training into Advanced Micro Warp Drive instead, you are still getting those bonuses to your Guidance Disruptors. Just gives you that kind of option of, do you go in via the signal jamming route and go up through like the Griffin or the standard Blackbird, or do you come in at the Blackbird Covert Ops with Advanced Micro Warp Drive? Of course, you're also getting the bonus there of your Micro Warp Drive having a smaller signature radius penalty. Very useful ship in fleet engagements, because your very small signature radius plus the fact you can Micro Warp Drive around allows you to disrupt targets with impunity and really help your fleet survive damage from missiles. Anyway though, that really does wrap up everything that I wanted to say today in regards to the Guidance Disruptor modules. These are a really cool module, and I can imagine a lot of missile users are really sweating at this update, since Rapids are getting nerfed and Guidance Disruptors are suddenly going to be a thing. That said, don't sweat too hard, because torpedoes and medium missiles are also getting buffed too, and believe me, they are actually now really worth choosing. So the idea here is that now Rapids aren't just this ubiquitous, why would you fit anything else? Rapids are excellent if you're going up against frigates or destroyers, but if you want to take out cruisers or larger, there is now a reason to fit either mediums or torpedoes. Just obviously be aware of anyone coming at you with a missile Guidance Disruptor, because that could really ruin your day. Anyway folks, those are my thoughts and opinions. Hopefully that's explained how these Guidance Disruptors work and what they do. Let me know in the comment section down below if this is something you're excited for, or are you one of those missile pilots who's secretly quaking in your boots with fear at this being added to the game. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Otherwise, happy sailing and see you in New Eden.